I'm Fabien Chraim. I am a PhD student in electrical engineering here at Berkeley, working with Professor Chris Piester in the Berkeley Sensor and Actuator Center. At BSAC, there's a lot of work going on in sensors, integrated circuits, and MEMS, but also all the way up to the systems level approach and wireless communication. Today, I want to talk about wireless sensing applications for critical industrial environments. And in particular, the industrial environment I'm talking about is the Chevron Richmond refinery. If you drive 10 minutes north on 580, you will sure see this facility. And the nice thing about this this facility is that they have 80% coverage of wireless HART. This means that on 80% of the grounds, you can drop a sensor, it joins the umbrella, and it starts reporting data wirelessly. The first application we developed for this refinery is the smart fence. So how do you secure your industrial environment? So we built some hardware that has accelerometers and gyros, much like the sensors you already have in your cell phone, and designed a very cheap and easy to install, requires no maintenance piece of hardware that you install along your fence line. And then, moving on to the detection algorithm, we use a technique called sequential hypothesis testing that is very much used in radar and clinical trials and wireless communication. And it helps you make a decision as you're collecting samples. So as you start seeing activity on the fence, you have to decide whether you're seeing an alarm or something that is not important. And then we used a decentralized flavor where you have a bunch of sensors reporting the same event and you end up making a decision. So this is what the output of one sensor looks like. You know, if someone's climbing the fence, for example, your sensor is reporting, I see a lot of activity, whereas if someone's kicking the fence over on your right, then you can see that you generate a couple of H1s and then the signal dies off. So for this project, the next thing we added is we redesigned the enclosure to hold the solar cell and did additional hardware for energy scavenging. But perhaps most importantly, we added an H2S sensor in order to be able to detect the plume of hydrogen sulfide leaving the facility. So this information is not only relevant for the refinery people, but it's also relevant for the citizens of Richmond living around it. And this is an important step in detecting leaks, but in also looking at averages of H2S emissions. Moving on, I want to talk about valves. So after we've secured our environment, how can we instrument it further? This is a gate valve that you can purchase now and install. And this is a similar model from last century. Now, this is a ball valve that you can purchase as Ace Hardware, for example. And this is a valve from Roman times. So valves are really good. We love their design. They have been literally almost unchanged since the Industrial Revolution. But what we want to do is we want to instrument those valves. We don't want to replace them. We want cheap peel and stick sensors that can sit on those valves and wirelessly report their position. And why? It's because we want to detect abnormalities. So why is this valve open when it should be closed? And we also want to understand what is the pressure gradient throughout our plant. So we grabbed similar hardware as in the fence project and developed our own experimental setup with pipes and valves, two types actually, a quadrature type and a rotary type. And then we started doing some signal processing. Essentially, you want to extract data from noisy sensors and sensors that drift and try to combine them in order to generate useful information. And for that, we developed a simple Kalman filter, simple enough to be implemented on a 16 megahertz microcontroller. And then you can see that you can't capture the entire dynamic information, but you can at least roll off to the correct angle eventually. And this is for a rotary type. You can count the number of turns. And then this project, the next steps for it is we're going to have a large-scale deployment of intrusion sensors and valves and H2S sensors, but also we want to develop a cheap and easy-to-install solution to put on small motors to try and detect when to service those motors. And you can hear more about this project and others from BSAC on the 4th floor of Corey Hall. Thank you.